Cletus, when he had these sessions, when it was more about you than it is about me. It's more about giving the citizens an opportunity to either ask questions or to hear from their local, state, and sometimes national elected officials. So at this time, what I'd like to do is begin by recognizing and giving an opportunity, if you have those cards, or if you need a card, raise your hand, to ask any questions of the individuals that have assembled. And normally I start with the Senator Vai's office. No one's here. Governor Daniels' office. No one's here. All right. Then I go to the senior member of the House, which is Wynn Moses.
Thank you, Councilman. Bill Williams and I were back there, and we know what that senior part meant. I want to tell you how appreciative I am to work with Glenn. I was with Cletus at his very first gathering also, and Glenn has done a number of good things, not the least of which is schedule it in March instead of that in January time. Do you remember how cold those days were? Snow was just the best part of it. I thought Sandy Kinney was going to kill me a few times. We had to go out there. It was that chilly. And hello to all the mayor and all the elected officials. Glenn said elected officials were supposed to sit in the front row, and I looked and it was full. So that's the we appreciate it to see all the council members and commissioners and things too. I just want to make two short points because there will be many people speaking, and Phil Giaquina, by the way, is back here too, has done a superb job. One of them is, these are very difficult times, and Councilman Hines mentioned Barack Obama. I can't tell you how pleased I am too that we have a bright, capable individual in there who's taking these problems by the horns, wrestling them through this terrible fight, and everybody's shooting at him. Whether it's he's got to be in charge of the car factories and build better cars, and he's got to be in charge of the housing and make everything work. So Heather and things can get programs can get money, but everybody's supposed to have better housing, and that's the president's fault, of course, too. And he's supposed to be able to handle the Chinese and the Russians with his left hand while he's doing this, and he's supposed to give us confidence throughout. And he's doing it. I mean, I'm just so happy with this. I'll close with this one. My term in the legislature this 2 years is different than in the past. I mean, often I've been on the Ways and Means Committee or those that follow the money. Well, they decided that this time, instead of that, I should be in charge of utilities. NIPSCO, I&M, SIGECO. You know, I'd really rather be back trying to figure out how to build potholes. It's not easy, and I've done that a few, but just to give you a couple of the things that we've covered with these, for instance, the shut-off days, when you could now shut off people's gas was March 15th. I mean, some of you may not know this, but many of my constituents and Glenn's do, and that is we passed a law that says if you're in low income, you cannot have your heat turned off between December and March 15th. That's a very big deal if you don't have any money. And there are a lot of people that don't have any money right now, and probably the worst in Fort Wayne since Harvester left in the 80s. And so we've tried to find ways through stimulus money to get that expanded to May 1st, and we've asked for assistance from the utility companies. We're still negotiating that. SIGECO or Vectren down in Evansville has done that. They've said we're going to delay it for the cutoffs. That's the important types of things that utility commissions can deal with. The other is reconnection charges. These things may seem mundane, but if you ever missed a payment and they had to shut off your gas, well, in order to get it back on, you have to pay the average of 4 months' bills. That's about $1,000. You know, if they had $1,000, they wouldn't be shut off. And the social agencies, Catholic Social Services, Lutheran Social Services, and the rest come up and say, you know, we can't handle the payments for these families that are now scattered, because when your house is without heat, it's condemnable. And kids have to go live with aunts and uncles, and you'd be amazed. I was talking to some people here this morning, and people just have to go live in their cars. And that's the horrible result of those things. So we're trying to fight those battles with the stimulus and with the committee. And I will say to you, I've dealt with many committees. I've served as chairman of a bunch of them over the years. I've never dealt with a committee whose membership I trust less. And I know that's a very strong statement, but it has been learned. This last 12 weeks that I've done this have been a real educational project from a guy who didn't think he needed any educating in this business. We'll work hard to try to get this to a level playing field so that our utility rates are fair. And I appreciate the opportunity to do that. And most of all, I appreciate the effectiveness and the ability of working with Glenn Hines. He makes things happen. I'm proud to bring anything I can back to the 6th District and to Fort Wayne. And by the way, the whole administration is very good. Glenn has been a particular joy to participate with. Those things that he talked about others got done, don't kid yourself. He was right in the middle of it, and it wouldn't happen without him.
While I have you here, I want to take an affirmative action as relates specifically to the issue of the township trustees. We have Trustee Stevenson here. I'm going to bring Phil. Come now, please, Phil. We've got 2 of our legislators and we have the township. Let's have a town hall meeting and discuss a strategy specifically as it relates to Wayne Township. I see in Indianapolis, they're making an exception with the largest township in that city. Can we have a quick discussion?
We can. Feel free to jump in here. This isn't that hard, isn't that long, I don't think. I mean, the Senate spent a lot of time discussing whether they should eliminate township trustees, because in some places they haven't worked out as well as they have here. And the governor is absolutely certain. He's counted, and he knows exactly how many township trustees there are, and he's decided there are too many. He's thought it over. If he ever once had to rely upon the need to get poor relief, to get assistance, to know the people that you're dealing with, he'd have a much different opinion. He may not, but the rest of us do. And I don't mean to speak for Phil in any fashion in this sense, but the Senate, after looking at a lot of numbers of proposals, one was to make the sheriff elected, the other was to eliminate a number of county people. We can go through this long list. They finally sent over something that said we should take away the boards of the township trustees. I don't know what he's got against that term. How could he not like her? I mean, we ought to bring her down and have her be the symbol. It's come to the House, and the House looked this over, and I wasn't on that committee. Are you on that committee? There was a lot of pressure from the governor, and said we ought to have a hearing on this. So the Speaker called a hearing, and it was a little discombobulated, and they held a meeting on the issue of township trustees. And if I'd have known they were done doing it, we'd probably had you come down, and we could have added a good hour to the conversation. Good is the part I meant most. And after this debate, they looked it all over and they voted it all down. They took all the bills, put it in, and voted it down. And it's still eligible to become law in the sense that some part of it passed the Senate, and the governor will not give up in any fashion. But it's pretty. The House of Representatives does not think that this is a good idea, and it's not just because we have good township trustees, but if you travel around the state, some of those smaller counties, this is the main elected official. This is who they go to. I mean, it's almost like their mayor. So that's kind of my opinion. I think you're pretty well assured, and actually we hope that the township assessor, Wayne Kim Zuber, who, I just want to take a second here. This is a young lady we may or may not know. They tried to eliminate the township assessors, and they did in most cases, but they said there's some of these big ones that will let them have an election. Oh, she fooled them. She knew what election was. And she went out, she'd been raised in the art of politics, and she just knocked on doors, and she went to churches, and she shook hands, and she got friends all galore to put on her signs, and you'd see her smiling face absolutely everywhere. And in addition to that, she gave good assessments. I mean, superior. They came in to look over what she'd done, and they said, it's fine. We're not changing a thing. And so she was elected, and overwhelmingly. And so we go back down there, and someone's saying to me, well, there were 14 of them, so the one, we got to eliminate those. And I said, I got news for you. It's America. They're here to stay. And that's kind of the way I feel about this. Phil, old Mayor Timothy Gabby, please.